Welcome to the Core Concepts Lecture Series. This, of course, is the show where we have people from a wide variety of religions, spiritual disciplines, come and tell us what they believe, why they believe it, and what they're doing about it. In other words, how they came to that belief system and how it's manifesting in their lives. And if you are watching this show from someplace besides YouTube, please be advised and let your friends know that you can go to youtube.com and then type in Renford, R-E-N-F-O-R-D, Renford Broadcast Network. And there, not only do we have over 40 of the Core Concepts lecture series for you to peruse, but we also have the Laws of Material Wealth Personal Development Program First DVD. We have the Bookman Show. We have a series of movie links so that you can see shows that you may have been wanting to see but didn't know where to go to get it. And also audio books and music with meaning. Now, you can find almost anything you want to on the internet. But with this particular site, you can find things that you wouldn't even know to look for. So we invite you to go to Core Concepts, to go not only to see the Core Concepts lectures, but go to Renford Broadcast Network to check out that site. Our guest today is Bretta Blanton, and Bretta is with the Seventh Day Adventist. And we've had some experience with Seventh Day Adventists. My wife had surgery at the Seventh Day Adventist Hospital in Hong Kong, and it was the most modern and up-to-date hospital there at the time. And so I've had some experience personal there, and then also have done some reading and some ideas about Seventh Day Adventist. But we want to give Bretta a chance to tell us a little bit more. I know that you're part of the, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I know that you're part of their health program.
Yes.
What does that constitute?
Well, the Seventh Day Adventist Church is broken up into a number of ministries. One of the ministries is the Health and Temperance Ministry, and that's the one that I'm a part of. And I have a background in health and nutrition. Actually, I have a degree in chemistry, and I taught for a number of years. But more recently, I opened a vegan restaurant, and so I'm very interested in health and nutrition. So that was the ministry that spoke more to me as a Seventh Day Adventist. And also, years ago, before I even thought about becoming a Seventh Day Adventist, I had read a number of studies that showed that in certain states in the United States, that Seventh Day Adventists had a longer lifespan than the typical American, and it's because a number of them are vegetarian. So I thought that was fascinating. So that's why I became a part of the health.
Is that more or less part of the doctrine of the church?
That's part of the doctrine of the church.
And but I take it that one could be an Seventh Day Adventist and not be a vegetarian.
You can.
Yeah. But that's one of the teachings.
That's one of the teachings. And actually, and I guess with any religion, when you first join it, you learn what they're teaching, but it's a process. You grow into it. Because, of course, we're taught about the clean and unclean meats, and they encourage vegetarianism, but you grow into that. As a new Adventist, some people might not be there, but ones that have been there a long time, most of them are vegetarian that have been with Adventist Church for a long time. And a lot of Adventists that I know, they are very concerned about their health. That's part of the doctrine.
Well, that's a testimony for vegetarians right there, that in the states where the Adventists or Seventh Day Adventists are strong, then you have a
longer life. I think they said 9 years longer than the typical American. And it's because of the vegetarian diet that they're on. And also rest too, because Seventh Day Adventists believe in keeping the Saturday Sabbath. And on the Sabbath, you don't do anything, you just have a complete rest. And so,
well, do you have a service on Saturday?
You have a service, but then the rest of the day you can just rest and relax. And so the people who, actually the documentary that I saw, they tied in the longer lifespan to the diet and also to being able to rest once
the day of rest.
Because the typical American, they're constantly going 7 days a week, 24/7.
Well, a lot of Christians talk about having a great Sabbath day when they're really talking about Sunday, which in Sabbath actually means the seventh day.
Right.
Do you know where all of it comes from, what the origins of the church are?
I know some. I am a new Adventist. I've been with the church for less than a year, but from what I've studied and what I've heard, Ellen G. White is one of the founders of the church, and she's recognized as a prophet of the church. And I know it was in the 1800s. There was a movement, I can't remember what it was, but they were prophesizing about the end of the world. And Ellen G. White was a young child, and I think her parents were part of that movement. But later on, she broke away from that group, and then it was said that she had visions, and one of the visions was that you should keep the Saturday Sabbath, and then later on the health laws and different things were tied in. So it originated in the 1800s, and Ellen G. White was one of them.
It's really interesting. In the mid 1800s, there were so many from even of the New Thought churches, and the Ernest Holmes and the Fillmores and Mary Baker Eddy. All of this was and many other ones that I had the opportunity yesterday to see a film that showed a lot of that. And so Ellen G. White was in the same time frame in the mid 1800s. And a lot of those movements were started by women, like Ellen G. White. In fact, I had no idea that so many of them were. It was something else. What do you do in that health ministry there? I mean, are you feeding people, or?
That's what I do, because my background is with food, because I changed my diet in '95. I stopped eating meat, really as an experiment, just to see if I could do it, because I grew up here in Memphis, so I ate like a typical person here in Memphis. But in '95, when I was in college, I said, well, let me just see what would happen. And then I just stuck with it and never turned back. And I noticed a lot of health benefits, and friends of mine, they were like, wow, it's so healthy. And they enjoyed the food. I kind of started making food as a hobby, because I knew that I couldn't sustain that diet unless I knew how to make food, because it's too expensive to eat other places. And so I learned how to make food, and lots of my friends encouraged me, you should have your own restaurant. So that's what I'm doing now. So I have a long history with vegan food and nutrition, because I wanted to make sure that I was practicing the vegan diet properly, because there are lots of vegans and vegetarians that can become sick if they don't know what they're doing. So I did lots of research.
So you were vegan. That takes it a step further than a vegetarian.
Right.
And but the Adventists don't mind. Seventh Day Adventists don't mind that you're vegan instead of just vegetarian.
No, it's okay.
Well, then you can fit with me, since I'm a vegan as well. That's good. And are you preparing meals and taking them to people's homes? Are these people that are being served by the church, or what?
People that are being served by the church. A couple of the activities that I participated in is we had cooking classes for the community, and then I would focus in on a particular food that day. Like one popular class that I gave was on kale salad, and I gave fun facts about kale that people hadn't heard, and then I showed them how to prepare the kale salad that we make at my restaurant. And then people from the community sampled it, and they would just eat the typical American diet, but they enjoyed eating the raw kale salad.
Tell us about the difference in and why you went all the way to vegan as opposed to I mean, I know the difference, but go ahead and tell our viewers what the difference is. Well,
vegetarian is really a broad term that means a number of things. Really, it means you sustain first from red meat, and there are different pockets of vegetarianism, but vegan is considered among the most strict of vegetarians, meaning you don't eat any type of animal products or animal byproducts, or no poultry, no fish, no eggs, no dairy, or anything like that. And then a lot of vegans will not even wear anything that comes from an animal. And some vegans will not eat honey, some will, some won't, so there's a little bit of controversy there, but they don't want, a lot of people who are vegan don't want to eat anything that comes from an animal. And for some vegans, it ties into animal rights, because they don't believe that animals should be harmed. And for others, it's just health, and for others, it's religion.
Some people call themselves vegetarian that eat fish. Because it's not red meat,
right,
and they'll eat chicken and fish. They consider that a form of vegetarian, but that's a little it's not a matter of being controversial, or it's just a matter of what they want to do. Each one does what they want to do.
That's true.
And the church doesn't. Now, what else about the doctrine of the church could you tell us about Seventh Day Adventists?
Well, the Seventh Day Adventists believe in keeping all 10 of the commandments, and what is pointed out is that a lot of, in the Seventh Day Adventists, as a movement, don't judge any other church or anybody, but it's just pointed out that a lot of people may not focus on that Saturday Sabbath, so that's one thing that you really try to tie in as Adventists, making sure that you keep the Saturday Sabbath, and lots of research was done, because some people are like, well, how do you know it's on Saturday instead of Sunday? And then if you look at the Jewish people, they've always have kept the Sabbath, and they keep it on Saturday.
Well,
So
the word literally means seventh.
Yeah,
Seventh
right,
day,
seventh
so it
day.
means Saturday.
Right.
So, you know, the typical or traditional Orthodox Christian that worships on Sunday, they can call it Sabbath if they want to, but
Right.
it's not really. But they're taking it from the second chapter of Acts, where the Christians gather together on the first day of the week and lay by and stored as God has prospered them. That's where they're taking that from.
Mm-hmm.
And what other, you say they follow all of the Ten Commandments?
The 10 Commandments, and then the Old and the New Testament, or some people understand don't look at the New Testament, Old anymore. But the Seventh Day Adventists look at both the Old and the New Testament. Then, of course, there are the health laws, which are, they encourage vegetarianism, but as long as you're only eating the clean meats, it's okay. Then they encourage temperance, which means you do things in moderation. And also, Adventist means you're waiting for the advent of Christ. So,
The return.
Yes, the return of Christ. So Seventh-day Adventists are really particular, careful about preparing. Of course, you don't know the day or the hour, but they feel with all the things, the wars and all of the crazy things that are going on, Christ must be returning soon, so we don't know. But a lot of us we focus a lot on that, trying to prepare ourselves.
And the what other is there any other basic doctrine of the church besides follow the Ten Commandments and the
In the health laws?
no, not just
Yes.
like what?
One thing is, of course, we're not really sure what's going to happen at the end. So some people, a lot of Adventists that I know, they have their own garden because we don't know. Maybe it would be difficult to get food from a grocery store like when World War III or whatever happened. So a lot of people have grow their own food, and you just want to be self-sustaining, you know, since you don't know. Like, what if the grid falls, or, you know, so you just want to really be careful. And then you're watching how you conduct yourself, so you can be one of the ones that's taken with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be left behind. So
does the church have any writings that are sort of like Hal Lindsey's Late Great Planet Earth, and a lot of the things that are written by the I don't know what denomination he comes from, but there's the whole series of books that are available at most of the Walmarts. It's LaFarge and Jenkins, and you know, about the return and about well, there's a term for it, of that uplifting or at the end. Rapture, yeah.
there are writings by Ellen G. White, and I have not gotten a chance to read them all. She's written numerous things, and I'm sure in some of her writings she spells out, because what I've noticed about Ellen G. White's writings are that they really, each one kind of goes along with something that's in the Bible, and she just like kind of expounds upon a different topic. Like, she might talk more about what happened in the Garden of Eden, or the different miracles that Christ performed. So I'm sure, but I have not read. But Ellen G. White has a number of writings. Probably.
What about the organization of the church? Do they have like a president, or that's a prophet, sort of like the Mormons have their head of the church is their prophet during his lifetime?
No, the Adventist Church does not. Ellen G. White is recognized as the prophet, but of course she passed away. But the church does have a church board, like the organization of it is divided up into conferences, and depending on what part of the United States or what part of the world you're in, it's considered a certain conference, and then there's like a president over that conference, but that's not like a prophet, it's just a leader. And the people vote on who.
And where is the head of this, of the overall church, do you know?
Oh, Washington D.C., the headquarters. For this,
and for this conference that Memphis is in?
I'm not sure. Nashville, I think. I think it's Nashville.
Well, how many Adventists would there be, say, in Memphis?
Memphis.
Is there more than one church here?
Yeah, there are a number of Seventh Day Adventist churches here. I know there's probably about maybe close to 10 here in Memphis. And then the Adventist Church actually has churches all over the world, because they believe, or the Seventh Day Adventists, we believe that part of ushering or helping Christ to come back is like, because remember they said spread the word to all the nations. So that's why Seventh Day Adventists really make a point of trying to build a church in every nation. So like most of the nations, like you
Go into all the world and preach the gospel there to preach
And then
it.
you were saying your wife was treated at the hospital, and even in different African countries, remote countries, in South Pacific, we have hospitals and schools just to try to help disadvantaged people and spread the word.
So they're the main vehicle for the mission and for the church is health, really.
Health.
A lot of emphasis on,
Yeah.
and that's therefore the reason for the vegetarian diet and all of that. So you meet only once. Are there classes? Are there schools? It seems to me that there's a university or school. Where is the school? What is it?
The Seventh Day Adventists have a number of schools here in Memphis, even elementary and high schools. And then there's Oakwood University. I believe that's in Alabama. Yeah, Oakwood University. And yeah, that's the only college that I know about for Seventh Day Adventists here in the U.S. But yeah, they have their own schools.
And do they have any? Do you know if there are any television programs or radio programs or anything else?
There is one television program that I know of. It's called Amazing Facts, and it comes on Sunday morning at 6:30 in the morning. And there's a pastor from a Seventh Day Adventist church, and he just goes over, and it's open to people of all denominations, because Seventh Day Adventists don't try to discriminate or look down or judge anybody. You just point out, just different doctrines, and we tie a lot of research into what we're showing. We're not just saying, oh, it's just because, you try to back up what we believe.
Is there, do you know if there's any connection, or have you met any people that call themselves Messianic Christians?
I've met some Messianic Christians.
Because they are also they also are on the Sabbath day, and they have some similarities. I don't know about vegetarianism, but they...
I've met some, and actually part of my religious path, when I was really young, I believed even though I went to Baptist church, I believed in the Saturday Sabbath. I don't know why, but like when I read the Bible as a child, I was like, okay, isn't that Saturday? So I was kind of confused. And so when I became, like in my 20s, that's when I started looking at all the different Sabbath keepers. And Seventh Day Adventists, I came to them just recently. But before that, I did visit with Messianic Jews and Messianic Christians, and even some pockets of the Church of God. Some of them meet on Sabbath as well.
The idea of keeping the Ten Commandments, I mean, you find that in a number of different churches, and then of course you have the place where Jesus says he didn't come to do away with the law, but to fulfill the law. And to what extent does the Seventh Day Adventist keep those 10 Commandments? I mean, are there any special doctrines connected with that you know of?
No.
For instance, there's the laws concerning divorce, which are very stringent with some churches and not with others.
Yes, that's an interesting point that you bring, because before I became an Adventist, actually I was Jewish. Most people have to find that hard to believe. But there's 613 laws. There's the 10 Commandments, but if you look at all the laws in the Leviticus There's 613 in all.
Nothing but laws. It just, he gives 10 and man turns it into 600 and something. Or at least the Levites did.
Right.
Yeah. 600 and, how many?
613.
613.
Yes, there are lots.
That's interesting.
But what I've been learning, because that was a point of concern I had when I first became an Adventist, I was like, okay, we're just following the 10 Commandments. What about all the others? But what I learned is that the 10 Commandments are the ones that were written by God's own hand. So those are special. And then the rest were written by Moses, and really just to laws that they needed to kind of.
I'll put you on the spot. What are the 10 Commandments?
Thou shalt have no other gods before me is one. Paraphrase.
That was the first one, wasn't it?
That one, and of course, honor the Sabbath day, keep it holy, honor your mother and father. Let's see what else. Do not take the Lord's name in vain.
And the ones that everybody else knows is thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt
And then covet your neighbor's wife.
and thou shalt not commit adultery. All right, well, not meaning to put you on the spot there, but just a reminder to people to what you're talking
Right,
about.
that's true.
And where do you see it going from here? I mean, your ministry has really become your business.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you've merged your business with your ministry. What do the church leaders think of that? Are they pleased with what you're doing?
Yeah, the ones I talk to seem to be pleased.
And then you're taking, how are you using that with
Seventh Day Adventist.
with the Seventh Day Adventist? I mean, are you keeping it separate, really?
I'm keeping it separate in a way because I don't want to force religion on anyone. That's everyone's choice. But if someone asks me, what do you follow? You know, they may see something in me, a light in me or something, then that's, oh, I keep the Saturday Sabbath. But if nobody asks, I'm not going to push anything on anybody. I just try to make everyone feel comfortable. And even with the vegetarian thing, because most of our customers are meat eaters, and I don't try to change them. I just say, okay, you can put this on the plate with your pork chop. You'll put your ribs or whatever. Then some of my customers are saying, wow, I really like the food, and I've been eating less of the other food and more.
Now, if you follow in the Old Testament, you wouldn't be eating that pork chop.
I wouldn't, but my customers do. They don't follow the Old Testament.
Because you wouldn't have been eating the pork.
Right.
And what about the other church doctrines that are kind of that are connected in with that? Is there anything else that jumps out at you that people would be interested to know that said what Seventh Day Adventists believe? I mean, they can go check for themselves. How would they check? Is there a website they can go? You go to seventhDayAdventist.com or?
I know that our church streams its services live, and so like in the church service, the pastor does go over a lot of topics that most people will be interested in on there, but I'm not sure if there's a particular website that you would go to.
Well, when you're doing live streaming, you mean onto a local radio station?
No, on the internet. If you go to like the Longview Heights website, you can click and you can look at some of the Sabbath services, and most of the Sabbath services are just teaching. Like he's teaching about different topics. And even recently, there was a Revelation seminar, and then the way that Revelations is taught in the Seventh Day Adventist Church is different than what I knew growing up as a Baptist. So there's some differences.
Well, now I'd like to talk about that because I've written a book on that subject. So I'd like to get to that at some point. I'd like to, not necessarily for this show, but I'd like to know more about that. What do you remember? What the main differences are between the way it's taught, say, in the Baptist Church and in the Seventh Day Adventist?
Some of the things that I remember are like about people when they die. Of course, most churches it's believed that when you die, you'll go straight to heaven, straight to hell. But the Seventh Day Adventist Church teaches that when you die, you're just in the ground. The dead know not anything. But then on Judgment Day, that's when everybody's called.
That'd be similar to Jehovah's Witnesses there. They have the same.
They have the same.
And that comes from the passages that said that when Christ comes, the dead will arise. Is where that's coming from.
Yes,
so they're not teaching a purgatory type of thing of the Catholic Church, And what can you think of anything else there? First of all, let's go back to how would they get that stream if our viewers want to find out about? I mean, they can always go and Google Seventh Day Adventist,
Yeah.
but I mean, what about that particular one that you just mentioned?
Oh, that was on the Longview Heights website. Longview Heights is the Seventh Day Adventist Church that I belong to here in Memphis. And we have a website, and if you go there, you'll see Sabbath services. You can click, and then you can see the actual service is recorded every Saturday.
And that's Longview Heights. Where
Longview
is
Heights.
that?
Longview Heights is on Mallory, 685 East Mallory.
Okay. And is there a phone number? I mean, if somebody wanted to call and talk to a minister or something, where would they call?
The phone number is on the
Longview Heights site?
Yeah, because I don't have it offhand. But yeah, you can call and talk to the pastor.
Well, why don't you go ahead and give our viewers the contact number for Two Sisters,
Okay.
and tell us a little bit now about Two Sisters too.
Okay. My sister and I have a vegan restaurant. It's called Two Vegan Sisters, because my sister and I are vegan. And as I said before, I taught. My background is in chemistry, so actually I lived in Atlanta for 15 years. I taught at a small women's college, taught chemistry. But then I went and lived in Africa for 2 years. And after I left from Africa, something told me to move back to Memphis. I grew up in Memphis, but I've been away from Memphis most of my life. And when I moved back, I said, let me just try the restaurant thing. And really, it's like a crazy idea, because I don't have any experience in restaurants or anything. My experience is teaching. So my sister and I, we do the business together.
And you started it when?
We started back in February. Actually, we started in December, and we helped a friend who has another vegan restaurant. We helped him open his restaurant, and we had our food in there for a period of time. But then in February, we broke off, and we had our own restaurant. And it started off as a delivery and catering service. We rented a kitchen downtown. People call their orders in, and we drive all over Memphis, even into Arkansas, Mississippi, delivering food, because we wanted to make it as convenient as possible to be healthy. And we purposely made our prices lower than everyone else's, because we know it's expensive to be healthy. So we were just trying, really it is like a ministry, because we don't get a lot, we really probably call it a non-profit organization, because we don't have a lot of profit. Because it's important to us just to be able to get the food out, for people to say, okay, it tastes good and it's healthy, and they're making it convenient, they're bringing it right to my doorstep, and this and that, and we have a meal plan. And,
Well, you were serving, and it will come back in service to others, and you have very high standards with your delivery people.
Mm-hmm.
I know at least one of them she had to have a white car and everything else for purity and all that.
Yes. Yes, we're very particular about the people who work with us, and we have a very wonderful staff, and that they make it all possible, because it's really my sister and I and my mother. It's 3 people, but we are able to service hundreds of customers, and then we have a couple of ladies to work with us, and it's a lot of fun. We all get along, and it's very peaceful. And then the people who work with us, whatever they're interested in doing, I don't say, well, you have to do this. I said, what do you like to do? And whatever I see that they're good at, that's what they do. We're not making it stressful or anything. It's just fun, and we're just serving.
And where's the new facility?
The new facility is going to be on 6343 Summer Avenue, right across from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And we're opening in a couple of weeks, but we're still, we have like one more inspection.
Well, everybody knows where they had to go get their license and everything, so they ought to be able to figure that out. Is it on the south side of the road? Because the highway patrol is on the north side.
Just right directly across the street from it.
Across Summer.
Yeah, right across Summer, and it's in the strip mall. There's a hair salon right next door, and a number of other businesses, and ours is right at the end, suite number 110. So we're excited to move to a sit-down restaurant. A lot of our customers are excited, because they enjoy the delivery, but some of them want to just come in and sit down and relax and eat sometimes, instead of just having deliveries.
Yeah, so this time you'll have a place they can go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because up until now, you had to order it and get it delivered.
But now you'll walk in and everything on the menu is ready. You can walk in and just get it just like that. That's how it's done. And then we'll still have the delivery service, because a lot of our customers are busy. They're in and out of town, and have very stressful jobs, so they like for us to still deliver to them. We're going to continue to do that.
What would you like to see the Seventh Day Adventist Church do with regard to food? I know that there are organizations who are lobbying the high schools and elementary schools, and in some states they can't sell the junk that they used to sell in there. And does the church get involved in any of that? Or?
Since I've been with the church, I haven't seen a lot of that. I've seen community outreach as far as people preparing food and inviting people from the community in, and then sometimes somebody might give a presentation, but I haven't seen it on that level with our church.
You've got a group here called Food Awareness, who, and I know you've been to some of their meetings and things that are lobbying also for,
like
especially in the schools, not against prepackaged things, hot dogs and things like that in particular. Yeah. Do you know of anything, any particular thing that the church is going to be involved in as far as organizing for public outreach and so forth?
I don't know right now, but since I'm a part of that ministry, that'll be something I could talk to the head of the ministry about, just mention the project. Maybe
come back and tell us what all is going on with the church. Is there anything else you'd like to, do you have a message yourself that you would like to, testimony, so to speak, with regard to the church?
Well, since I really feel blessed since I've been a part of the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and for the past 20 years I've been searching as far as like a path to God, because I always knew there was God, but I didn't know the right way to commune with Him or how to worship Him, because every year it looked like I would be in a different religion and I always found something wrong with it and all that. But now that I look back, really probably each one is going to be something wrong with it. Are you going to find people in there that you don't like, or you might find corruption, but it's up to you to find your own path. You take the pieces of it that's correct and you apply it to your life, and you just kind of look at yourself and you don't worry about the other stuff. So that's what I've been finding. And since I've been in the Adventist church, I haven't had any problems or anything, but I'm just saying, if I do notice something later on, I'm just going to take the pieces that I see of the Adventist church that's correct. And even like my past background from other organizations I was with, some of those teachings were right, so I still hold on to that and just leave out the other stuff. And we just all do the best we can. It's not easy, to find the right path. But when you find pieces of the truth, you keep it and you grow and just keep moving on and just do what you need to do.
Well, not to denigrate any of the churches that you were involved in before, what did you find missing in Judaism, for instance? Was it Christ, or what was the missing element there?
I always felt guilty about that. I like Judaism because they did keep the Sabbath and they did try to keep all the 613 laws. And then everybody was so smart. Everybody always studied and they were so intelligent. And then the Jews were always giving and helping people. And wow, I like this. But I always felt guilty about them not accepting Christ. And actually, I had to take a vow that I wouldn't accept Christ because because of course if you're not a regular Jewish person, you become part of a synagogue, you have to go through a series of studies, which I did. And then when the rabbi feels that you're ready, they put you in what they call a mikvah, which is almost like a baptism. They'll dunk you. But you have to say something in Hebrew. I think you have to repeat one of the commandments in Hebrew, and then you have to take a vow that you will never, because to them it's blasphemy. And so I took that vow, but I felt so guilty. I was like, man,
Now, what bit of Hebrew did you use? Do you remember?
It was one that was it was right. Well, actually, it was something from the Old Testament. It wasn't one of the commandments. It was rise up, Lord, and let your enemies be scattered. I remember I had to say that in Hebrew.
Well, it may have been Aramaic, but the only one that I could think of when you said that was Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, which is what Jesus said.
Right.
Forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And you were also involved with the Baptist?
Yeah, I grew up as a Baptist, and then briefly went to the Church of God, and I did, they call it Pentecostal a little bit, and did the International Church of Christ. And then I kind of looked at the Muslims a little bit, but I didn't feel comfortable, and I looked at
You'd have had the same problem as you had with the Jews in that case, wouldn't you?
And then I did Hebrew Israelites.
Now, what's a Hebrew Israelite?
Black Jew. So it's a little bit different than the regular mainstream Jew. That they have
So like the
laws.
black Muslim is a little bit different than the mainstream
Yeah.
Islam.
So I did that, and there were some things, and there were like multiple marriage and things like that. So I thought,
You didn't want to be number two?
no. And that's actually what made me leave, because I was married in there, and my husband was getting ready to take it on.
Take another one?
Oh, so I thought, okay.
Well, so you just let him have number two and moved on?
And actually, well, I understand he's not with number two, but I just had to leave because I couldn't always have that hanging over my head that there might be other women and stuff. And then to them the Messiah has already come, so there's a man on earth that they're recognizing as the Messiah. So I always had a problem with that too, because I'm like, okay, I don't know if I should really think accept him as the Messiah, but I like the other stuff they're doing, and it was just great. But I did go to Israel 7 times.
Wow.
So I did get to do that, go to Jerusalem to see
Now, how did that come about, going 7 times?
that's part of what you do as a Hebrew Israelite, is that you make pilgrimage to Jerusalem and try to keep the holy days and stuff like Passover and stuff like that.
And it's a magic number is 7, I guess.
That's just how many times that I was able, because I was in there for almost 15 years I was in it. And I got to go almost, like every other year that I was there.
Now, some of these folks we're going to have on this show because some of them I'm not familiar with. You know?
Yeah, so many different things
Yeah.
going on as far as religion, spirituality, belief systems.
Yeah, because I noticed that some of those, for instance, the dead shall arise, some of those aspects you see in other things like the Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And they have that also in that particular. In fact, I went to my great uncle's funeral. Great uncle Jack Powell. He was 103.
Wow.
And I remember very clearly that the minister, Jehovah's Witness minister, said, our brother Powell is dead. He's dead. He's just like a dog that's dead. He's dead. But we live in the hope of the resurrection. And he goes in it. That's the second funeral of that nature I've been to both times. So they're very strong on that particular point. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you with us on the core concepts. Is there anything else that you would like to say before I ask for questions?
I can't think of anything.
Does anybody like to ask a question?
I'm just curious, Bretta, about what the health laws encompass, other than what you've mentioned.
Temperance, which means is really looked at as a sin. Like if you overeat and overindulge, that's just as bad as being an alcoholic or any other sin. So it's
Gluttony
temperance.
is one of the 7
Yes.
deadly sins, yeah.
Yes, I was surprised by that. I really enjoy eating. Like, man, I gotta be so careful with that. But yeah, the temperance, and then exercise is encouraged. Exercise, drinking, not eating and drinking at the same time. Drinking a certain amount of water. Oh yeah, and then I believe they don't chocolate, that you should try to abstain from chocolate because of the caffeine, and of course no alcohol.
So then they got a bit of the Latter-day Saint situation there with no coffee, I hadn't heard chocolate, but
Yeah, chocolate.
I know that
there's
that's
like
that.
pickles and stuff like that because of the vinegar and stuff. I think that's part of it too. Because I'm still learning. There's actually a book on it, and I said, well, maybe I'm following most of them to be vegan, but I do have to go back and read through that book to make sure.
You have to read through that 613 almost continually in order to not go overboard there, right? 613. Yeah. Was there any other question?
Are you familiar with explaining a little bit about the origin of the Seventh Day Adventist? Is that an American church?
It's an American church. Ellen G. White is the founder. And the group that her parents were with, I think the person's name was Miller. And he did research and he tried to predict the exact date that Christ would return. And it was sometime in 1843 or something like that. And then lots of people prepared for the return of Christ. They like sold their possessions and did this and did that, and they were just
Went to the mountaintop.
Yeah, and they were waiting. And then when he didn't come, a lot of them went crazy and broke away.
You can find information on Miller and that whole thing that you're talking about there on your internet too. I've looked up. That is very interesting. So she moved away from that.
Yeah, they moved away from that, but it always stood out in her mind. Okay, Christ is going to return soon. He didn't come on that particular day, but he's going to return. We have to be ready for his return. And so she started having different visions from God. And then she was looked at as controversial among the other church members, but she had the vision about, okay, Saturday is the true Sabbath. We need to keep Saturday. So a group of them started. And they didn't become Seventh Day Adventist right away. I think at first they might have been some other name, Seventh Day. Then Advent was added on later, like when they were really focusing a lot on the return of Christ. But she was a young girl, like when she started having visions, and it just kind of grew. And then she had she did not have, like, she wasn't educated or anything, but these visions would come to her, and she wrote all of these books on like doctrines, like the health laws and keeping the Sabbath. So that's how the church came about. It broke off from, I think they were called the Millerites.
So you can Google Seventh Day Adventist. You can Google Ellen G. White and get quite a bit of information. And we thank you, Bretta, for giving us a lot of introduction there, kind of an introduction to Seventh Day Adventist. I want to invite viewers to, on the website, if you're at Core Concepts or if you're at the Renford Broadcast Network, to click on the link. You can also go to Radio by Renford. We have 10 shows a week. That's roughly 2 shows a night with a little bit of a mixture there. And you can go to Blog Talk Radio. That's www.blogtalkradio.com/Renford. And that's RENFORD. And you can see any and all of the shows going back 4 years. They're all archived there. And maybe we'll have Bretta on talking about, on one of the shows, talking about the 2.5 sisters. I mean, the 2 sisters. The 2 sisters and Mama. And I want to also invite you to go to www.IAM-COR.org. That's IAM-COR.org. And visit the virtual campus of the Institute of Applied Metaphysics. You can see the 3 degree levels of the school. You can download free ebooks. There's the Searcher's Roadmap, the Core Document, the Unity Principles, and download a copy of the Lightways e-zine, our quarterly electronic magazine. Thank you very much for being with us, Bretta. Thank all of you for being with us. And we'll see you next week on Core Concepts.